It might be hard to remember what it was like to not have to wear a mask, to pack into a car and go for a ride, to see who we want, where we want. But this week it's time to stop looking back on 2019 or what has changed in 2020.
I believe that the vaccination will be effective.
Let's talk about life in 2021. What we can expect as we work to rebound and move forward. This is The Race. Welcome to The Race. I'm Chris Stewart. Seattle was one of our nation's first battlegrounds in this pandemic. The first known case of coronavirus was here in Washington state. But as we enter a new year, armed with the vaccine, there is hope for people who have had to find creative ways to make ends meet, that life could be somewhat normal again. The sun has finally set on 2020. But much of what we associate with last year will continue to rise each morning. How has the pandemic changed your life?
Wow.
For Jake Lindsay,
Well,
there's no easy answer.
for me, I had to first figure out completely new lines of work that were going to be safe for me to do with someone with a suppressed immune system and a history of respiratory illness.
He's a Seattle musician who we first met at the end of 2019 for a story about the grind of making a living as an Uber driver. How hard is it to make ends meet working in the gig economy?
It's very hard. I mean, we make under minimum wage.
This was before the pandemic,
Every year I've calculated my own taxes. I make something closer to like $8 an hour.
before a story in a Prius was too close.
So,
Now an interview like this, in masks, feet apart in a backyard, is just part of life. And so are the changes this pandemic forced in his.
I wasn't taking any chances, so my life as a Uber driver I had to kind of put on pause because that was by far the job that was going to be the most exposed to strangers. But thank you for being here. I'm just going to go ahead and get started.
He performs his music online since venues are closed. He's found work as a tutor, tapping into unemployment and other programs to scrape together enough to get by.
A lot of the pandemic is just like spending time on the internet researching how to execute your next move.
In Seattle, if there's a symbol of standing the test of time, it's Pike Place Market.
A lot of tough people who, this is not my first recession.
And its vendors, like Cynthia Hope.
You can feel the humanity of it, and that is what really speaks to people. It's not machine-made, it's not perfect, and that's okay.
For now, fish are not famously being thrown at Pike Place, a measure to keep crowds from forming. The halls, usually filled shoulder to shoulder, are far emptier.
We just don't have the foot traffic that we're accustomed to.
This landmark, long fueled by human touch, has launched an online marketplace to help its vendors like Cynthia and raise money for people struggling in the pandemic.
Business may never be back 100% to what it looked like before, but a lot of businesses have innovated.
What we consider normal 1 year from now is anyone's guess.
I just really miss the intimate physical connection you could have with people in real life. It's spiritually draining, to not have that.
But with the new year comes the hope that a normal that we knew before coronavirus will be here again.
And I look forward to that day, and it may not happen very quickly, but it will happen.
Experts believe having a COVID vaccine on the market will help get people back to work. And there are new polls showing that more people are willing to get the shot, including minorities. Alexa Liaco takes a look at the efforts to build trust in the vaccine in the Black community.
Do you know what that letter is?
A.
Every morning, Jeff Fard looks at his children with hope.
E. age W.
This feeling of care and encouragement is one he's known for years.
Even if we wanted to be the first, because the way this is going to roll out.
He started the Brother Jeff Cultural Center 27 years ago as a safe place, a place for hope for young African Americans in his community.
The entire ideal around the Cultural Center was to deal with health and health disparities in the Black community.
Now, much of his work centers around the current health crisis, one disproportionately infecting communities of color.
We know the devastation of COVID-19, and we know it personally.
But with the new year comes new opportunity. Vaccines for COVID-19 are becoming more widely available, but Fard worries his community members won't consider getting one.
I believe that the vaccination will be effective, and I also believe that a lot of folks will be losing their lives because of distrust.
The distrust among communities of color is rooted in history. Centuries ago, slaves were used in medical experiments. Then came the Tuskegee experiment in the 1930s, when researchers did not treat African American men with syphilis in order to study the full effects of the disease. Countless men died when life-saving treatments were available.
But that's not an isolated incident. It's just one of many. These injections also are in the wake of, say, for example, this ketamine conversation as it relates to the death of Elijah McClain. Our community is working to figure out why people are shooting things into us and for what reason.
This father says he's working to overcome his own hesitations.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a pro-vaxxer. I'm just a person who says, I want to know more information about this.
As he learns more, he is encouraging his community to do the same.
My advice is to proceed with caution, but don't turn a blind eye or blind ear.
Many African American leaders in the healthcare profession have the same advice.
Dear Black America, we love you.
A group of Black doctors and nurses came together to write a love letter to Black America, encouraging African Americans to consider getting vaccinated.
To stand for racial justice and to fight for health equity.
We as African American professionals, we need to be the voice out there for our population.
President of the National Black Nursing Association, Martha Dawson, helped write this letter. She hopes giving resources and information will help.
We are seeing an increase in the number of people who are saying, yes, they will take the vaccine or they may will take the vaccine. So we definitely are beginning to turn the curve with this.
I'm optimistic, and I believe that the science will win. What will happen is the building of trust along the way.
These community leaders say they'll fight every day to rebuild what's been lost.
We don't have the luxury to wait.
If the vaccinations are effective, our community will participate.
Because the consequences of ignoring that choice are far too great, especially for this man hoping to watch his children grow for years to come.
Have you ever heard that name, Trombone Shorty?
For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacco.
That name, Trombone? Trombone?
We could be in for some big changes in the year ahead. We're using animation to explore what could be different in 2021 and what it could mean for you when the race continues.